the beginning of a transformative journey. Imagine yourself in a room full of people. In front of you, someone is standing, sharing their story. They describe how, just 3 months ago, they were trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction and stagnation. Their eyes shine as they recount how they transformed day by day, adopting new habits and overcoming challenges. The audience, including you, listens in silence. You wonder, what did they do differently? How can I achieve such change too? Perhaps you've felt this way before, stuck in a life without purpose, waiting for something that never seems to come. But what if I told you that you are just 90 days away from a profound and visible transformation? In this text, you'll find not only answers but also clear and practical steps to turn your life into a stoic journey of self-overcoming. Get ready to discover that the change you long for starts now. Chapter 1. Expectations and Suffering. The expectations we create are invisible traps that shape how we see the world and the people around us. When we expect everything to go according to plan, we open the door to frustration. A friend doesn't act as we imagined, a promotion at work doesn't happen, and soon we find ourselves sinking in a sea of disappointment. Stoicism teaches us that suffering doesn't come from reality, but from the expectations we impose on it. And what if those expectations were abandoned? How would our lives change? When we let go of the need to control everything, we begin to see the world more clearly. Without the pressure for everything to be perfect, we learn to accept reality as it is, mutable and imperfect. Life ceases to be a string of disappointments and becomes a constant flow of experiences, where each moment is an opportunity for learning. Expectations are like invisible chains that bind us to an illusion, and Stoicism offers the key to set us free. When we abandon these expectations, we rid ourselves of the burden of believing that the world owes us something. We begin to see people as they are, not as we think they should be. The freedom that arises from this process allows us to live more fully and less reactively. Accepting that the world is beyond our control is one of the first steps toward true inner peace. And what if, instead of expecting everything to go according to plan, you allowed yourself to live without that burden? Wouldn't it be liberating to realize that you don't need to control every detail to be happy? By embracing life's unpredictability, we start to see uncertainty as part of our growth, creating room for the unexpected to surprise us. Imagine what it would be like to live without these chains. Life would flow more naturally, and the weight of disappointments would disappear. What would you do if you knew that nothing depends on expectations, and everything depends on accepting the present as it is? Chapter 2. Negative Thoughts. The Silent Enemy. Negative thoughts are like small stains on a white wall, almost imperceptible at first, but spreading over time until they dominate the entire space. Every time we tell ourselves we aren't good enough or that our dreams are unreachable, another one of these stains forms. Stoicism teaches us to observe these thoughts without identifying with them, as if we were looking at a wall that needs restoration. The true battle against negative thoughts isn't one with brute force, but with clarity. The first step is recognizing their existence and questioning their truth. Do these thoughts reflect reality, or are they just distortions created by our inner critic? Often, when we analyze them objectively, we realize they are nothing but illusions. By challenging them, we begin to understand that we have the power to choose which thoughts we nurture. This doesn't mean that negative thoughts will disappear entirely, but it does mean that we can reduce their influence over our lives. Each time we choose to focus on the positive, a new layer of paint is applied to the wall, restoring its clarity. When we feed thoughts of failure, we create a reality where success seems distant. But when we focus on positive memories and our achievements, we begin to shape a new vision of ourselves. Over time, this practice transforms our minds into a bright space, free from the shadows of self-sabotage. Have you ever found yourself lost in negative thoughts that seem to define who you are? What if you could change that narrative? By observing your thoughts without judgment, you'll start to realize the power you have to rewrite your own story. Chapter 3. Comfort Zone. The Limit of Growth. The comfort zone is seductive. It's where we feel safe, protected from risks and failures. But this sense of security comes at a price. Growth stagnates. Stoicism teaches us that we need to step out of this familiar space to truly live. When we challenge ourselves to face discomfort, we discover a strength we never knew we had. Facing the unknown expands our minds, and we learn lessons that can't be found in comfort. It's in moments of greatest challenge that we find true growth. Discomfort is what shapes us, like physical exercise that strengthens muscles after each session. Without challenges, there is no progress. However, stepping out of the comfort zone doesn't have to be radical. Small steps can lead to big changes. Starting with simple actions like changing a small routine or facing a minor fear is enough to train the mind to deal with discomfort. These small daily challenges build a resilient mindset. But what keeps us in the comfort zone? Fear of failure, pain, the unknown. Yet each time we choose comfort over evolution, we miss the chance to discover our true potential. What if, instead of fearing discomfort, you saw it as a teacher, an opportunity to discover something new about yourself? The comfort zone may seem safe, but it's where dreams go to die. It's time to embrace discomfort and see how far you can go. What are you willing to sacrifice to discover the person you can become? Now, before we proceed to the next chapter, I'd like to ask for your support. If you're enjoying this content and believe that these Stoic ideas can help more people find clarity and purpose, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends and family. This helps us continue bringing deep and practical reflections that can transform lives. Shall we move forward together? Chapter 4. Sacrifice. The price of achievement. Every great achievement requires sacrifice. In a world that seeks shortcuts and quick solutions, Stoicism reminds us that true value comes from being willing to give up comfort to attain what really matters. Sacrifice is the bridge between where we are and where we want to be. But what does it really mean to sacrifice? It can mean letting go of momentary pleasures, such as free time or habits that keep us from reaching our goals. It might mean leaving behind a stable job to pursue a greater purpose. Whatever it may be, sacrifice is what propels us to evolve. Often we fear sacrifice because we believe we're losing something. But in reality, every sacrifice is an investment in a stronger and more complete version of ourselves. When we let go of what keeps us stagnant, we create space for the new, the unexpected, and what truly holds value in our lives. Stoicism teaches us to evaluate what has true value, and by doing so, the sacrifices become clear. We're not losing something, we're investing in our personal growth. Sacrifices are temporary, but the achievements that come from them can last a lifetime. What are you willing to sacrifice today to achieve the life you desire? Maybe it's time to let go of what no longer serves you to make way for what truly matters. Chapter 5. Complaints and Action. The Power of Transformation. How often do we find ourselves complaining about the circumstances around us? We complain about work, relationships, life in general. What we forget is that every complaint is a disguised opportunity to change something. Stoicism teaches us that instead of wasting energy on grievances, we should transform each complaint into a plan of action. Complaining is easy, but it leads nowhere. When we focus on the problem, we're empowering what limits us. Instead, we should ask, what can I do to change this right now? This simple act of questioning is the first step to breaking the cycle of dissatisfaction. Writing down your complaints can be a powerful tool. Seeing them on paper helps you identify patterns. These areas of frustration are exactly where you need to focus your energy to start making changes. Each complaint is a doorway to an opportunity for growth, but you must take action. Stoicism reminds us that we are defined by our actions, not our thoughts. Dreaming of a better life is useless if we're not willing to take the first step. Each small action, even if it seems insignificant, has the power to transform your reality. And what if, instead of complaining, you started acting? Every small step you take today brings you closer to the life you desire tomorrow. What are you waiting for to turn your complaints into achievements? Chapter 6. The Impermanence of Friendships. Friendships are one of life's greatest treasures, but they can also be one of the biggest challenges when it comes to accepting their impermanence. Often, we believe the friends we have today will always be by our side. However, Stoicism teaches us that everything in life is in constant change, including our personal connections. The attachment to the idea that friendships will last forever can cause us pain when life's cycles pull us away from those we love. Accepting that friendships follow their natural course frees us from the suffering caused by trying to hold on to what is destined to change. When we stop resisting this reality, we begin to appreciate even more the moments we share with those around us. Stoicism invites us to live with gratitude, cherishing every encounter and every friendship without clinging to the need for control. Throughout life, many friendships naturally dissolve without guilt or resentment. This is the nature of human relationships. They evolve just as we do. And each person who passes through our lives leaves a mark, a lesson. When we view our friendships from this perspective, we can let go with serenity, knowing that new connections may arise in the future. However, the impermanence of friendships also teaches us an important lesson: the value of being your own best friend. Stoicism teaches us that we must find in ourselves the support, validation, and love that we often seek from others. When we learn to be at peace with our own company, we are prepared to face any change with balance. So, what if, instead of fearing the end of friendships, you saw them as part of life's natural cycle? By accepting this impermanence, you'll be ready to create more authentic connections without the pressure that they must last forever. After all, the true value of a friendship isn't in its duration, but in the quality of the moments shared. Chapter 7. Patience, the invisible power. In a world that values speed and instant gratification, patience has become a rare virtue. Stoicism, however, reminds us that patience is one of the greatest strengths we can develop. Great achievements don't happen overnight. They require time, effort, and above all, patience to keep moving forward, even when results are slow to appear. Patience allows us to persevere when everything around us seems to be against us. It gives us the clarity to understand that every small step we take, no matter how insignificant it may seem, brings us closer to our goals. Instead of giving up in the face of difficulties, patience teaches us to trust the process and understand that time is our ally, not our enemy. Think about the greatest achievements in history. None of them were reached in haste. Each required years of work, dedication, and, of course, failures. Patience is what keeps us steady when things don't happen as quickly as we'd like. It's what allows us to continue, knowing that every day of effort is an investment in our future. The practice of patience begins with observing our own thoughts and emotions. When you feel impatient, ask yourself, why am I in such a hurry? Often you'll realize that the urgency is just a reflection of anxiety. By accepting the discomfort of waiting, you become stronger and more resilient. What if you started to see patience as a superpower? By practicing it, you'll realize you have more control over your life than you think. After all, true success isn't about achieving something quickly, but about developing the strength to keep going no matter how long it takes. Chapter 8. Detachment, the freedom. You seek attachment is one of the greatest sources of suffering in life. We cling to things, people, and even emotions, believing they are essential for our happiness. However, Stoicism teaches us that true power comes from detachment. When we free ourselves from what no longer serves us, we create space for what truly matters. Detachment doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent, but rather accepting that everything is transitory. Life is constantly changing, and what seems indispensable today may no longer make sense tomorrow. Attachment to objects, for instance, makes us believe our happiness is tied to what we possess. But by detaching, we discover that happiness isn't in things, but in our attitude toward life. Emotional detachment is even more challenging. Often we cling to negative feelings like resentment and anger, believing they are part of who we are. But these emotions are merely passing. Stoicism invites us to release these feelings, to not define ourselves by them. When we let go of what hurts us, we make room for inner peace to take its place. The practice of detachment also involves reevaluating our habits. We often remain stuck in behaviors that comfort us but don't help us grow. By detaching from old habits, we create space to build new ones that strengthen us and help us evolve. Imagine what you could achieve if you learned to let go of what no longer serves you. Detachment is the path to true freedom. It allows us to live without the weight of the past and with a renewed openness to the future. What part of your life are you ready to release today? Chapter 9. The Burden of Complaints. Turn your words into action. Complaining may seem like a harmless way to vent, but what many don't realize is that complaints have a corrosive power. Every time you complain, you reinforce a mindset of scarcity and limitation. Stoicism teaches us that instead of focusing on what's wrong, we should channel our energy into what we can change. Complaints trap us in a cycle of negativity, where solutions seem increasingly out of reach. When you complain, you feed the problem, not the solution. But what if, instead of complaining, you decided to turn your grievances into plans of action? The power to change is in your hands, and change begins with a simple act: taking action. Writing down your complaints can be a powerful tool to transform your mindset. When you see them on paper, you begin to recognize patterns and areas where you've become stagnant. These complaints are disguised opportunities for growth. Once identified, they can be turned into clear goals and tangible objectives. Stoicism reminds us that we are defined by our actions, not our thoughts. Every time you act, no matter how small the gesture, you take a step toward change. Complaining solves nothing, but acting, even modestly, has the power to transform your reality. Imagine what your life would be like if, instead of complaining, you started taking action. How could your journey change? Stoicism teaches us that the first step is always the hardest, but also the most transformative. True strength lies in acting, not in complaining. Are you ready to take that step? Chapter 10. Gratitude, the central pillar of life. In a world where we're constantly encouraged to want more, gratitude has become a revolutionary act. Stoicism teaches us that true happiness isn't found in what we possess, but in how we appreciate what we already have. Gratitude is the foundation of a full and satisfying life, and when practiced, it transforms how we see the world. Every day offers countless reasons to be grateful, but we often overlook them. Waking up healthy, having a roof over your head, feeling the sun on your skin. These are small victories that often go unnoticed. Stoicism invites us to look at these things with fresh eyes, to recognize how fortunate we already are. Gratitude not only connects us to the present, but also frees us from the need for comparison. When we are grateful for what we have, we stop worrying about what's missing. This doesn't mean we should stop striving for improvement, but rather that we should appreciate every step along the way, knowing that each small progress is cause for celebration. Keeping a gratitude journal is a simple but deeply transformative practice. By writing down 3 things each day that you're grateful for, you begin to train your mind to focus on the positive. Over time, this practice creates an abundance mindset, where you see life with more lightness and joy. Stoicism teaches us that gratitude is a daily choice. What if, starting today, you made gratitude the central pillar of your life? How would that change your perspective? Life may not be perfect, but there's always something to be grateful for. What will you choose to appreciate today? Thank you for joining us on this Stoic journey. Remember always, the power to shape our happiness lies in our own hands, and through the constant practice of virtue and understanding of the things within our control, we can find peace and fulfillment. Keep exploring the depths of Stoicism in your daily life. Before you go, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with others who might benefit from Stoic wisdom. Until next time, may Stoic wisdom light your way.